This when people ask me what's my favorite sex position. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, my Love Bites fam. I'm so excited for my first live show on YouTube. Honestly, I just never really thought about myself as a YouTuber until now, but now I am a YouTuber. So, hello YouTube. I'm here. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm excited to really kind of experience what YouTube has to offer as a content creator, and also to like hear from all my fans and Love Bites family and my sex positive crew. So, all right, here we go. So I started YouTube show in bed with Dr. Tara to really answer questions that I get from you in a more in-depth manner. As a sex coach and sex professor, I get to either, spend 1 hour in a session with one client and coach them, or I teach in a large lecture and I'm just lecturing knowledge from my textbook that I wrote, right? So there isn't like a place where people can really ask me questions and then I can answer their questions more insightfully. So here we are. The first question we have: is there such thing as too much sex? There is definitely such thing as too much sex. I hate to break it to you, especially when people think Dr. Tara probably has a ton of sex all the time. But there's definitely too much sex. It's called sex addiction. If you feel like you may have sex addiction, here are a few things that are kind of like symptoms of sex addiction. It's not just anyone who loves having sex, right? It's not just anyone who, if someone is like, oh, I have a desire to have sex every day, is that a sex addiction? That's not a sex addiction. Having sex daily is not addiction. A sex addiction is when you are obsessive over the thought of sex and having sex, and you have to have it all the time, multiple times a day, and you can't get over the thought of sex all day long. And if you have this a lot, it disrupts your life, it disrupts your relationships, it disrupts your career. You can't like go to work and thrive because ultimately you don't know how to focus without thinking about sex. So all in all, is there such thing as too much sex? The answer is yes, if it's like, sex addiction. Now, there is no shame. I don't like shaming people at all. It's my least favorite thing to do is to shame people. So my whole recommendation would be you should totally reach out to a sex therapist or a therapist in general, and then work through your sex addiction. Sex addiction is like any other addiction. It's actually the same in the brain. It's like all addictions work very similarly. So if you have if people have ever heard of substance addiction, alcohol addiction, food addiction, right? Addiction works very similarly. So you have to work with a therapist. So if you feel like you are obsessing too much over sex and think about sex all the time, masturbate all the time, wanting to have sex all the time, then it's safe to say that you should, see a therapist and work on it. It's not to shame anyone, but you should totally work on it. All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm so excited that you guys are here watching my new live show in bed with Dr. Tara. I'm literally in bed. I want to show you my bed a little bit. Here's my bed. So I'm sitting in my bed. So I'm inviting you in to chit chat about, all the questions that I get from my Love Bites family. How do I propose a threesome to my partner? Threesome, it's the most common or the most popular sexual fantasy in America. So if you have thought about threesomes, you want to have threesomes, or you just love imagining threesomes, you're not alone. Millions and millions of people think about threesomes and it's their fantasy. There's a large study by Dr. Justin Lemiller. He wrote a book called tell me what you want. And it's about America's popular sexual fantasies, and the number one fantasy is group sex. So the person asking this question is definitely not alone, because millions of people have this fantasy, and definitely a lot of them want to make it, become something in real life. So how do I propose a threesome to my partner? I would say two things. First off, don't rush it. Um, Rushing it will make your partner very resentful, and it's going to destroy your relationship. Number two, don't do it haphazardly, meaning don't just go to a bar, get drunk, and go, hey, I want to pick up that person and go home and have a threesome. Because that's gonna, mainly it's gonna cause a fight, or it's gonna make your partner feel very sad, very insecure, very anxious about the way he or she or they look, or about their sex life in general. So it's definitely not good to have threesomes haphazardly. Now, how do you kind of ease it into the conversation is start with maybe even, texting a porn video of a threesome and say, hey, babe, what do you think about this? Right? Ask them, what do you think about it? Are you ever curious about this? What do you think about it? Do you think one day we would be able to do it? Asking them questions allow them to enter the discussion, the dialogue, without you saying like, I want to have a threesome, right? Like, what do you think? I want you to tell me what you think too. Let's talk about it, right? And then from then on, like, advance that conversation to like, oh, maybe we can try. What about we try, next month? Should we get on an app? Should we try to find our unicorn? Unicorn is like a desirable third person, right? What should we do? So there are many ways you can go about doing this, but one of the ways that I think, if you're in a big city, is very easy and common. It's like going on apps like Field. And then, on there are people that are like sex positive and, are interested in like sexual exploration, right? They wanna, like, there are a lot of women that I know, and men, too, men and women that wanna join a couple for a threesome. Like, they wanna be their unicorn. So it's totally possible that you can find your unicorn on an app like Field, but also, in person. So that's threesomes, and that was how to initiate basically the conversation. Next is, does masturbating make sex less enjoyable? Does masturbating make sex less enjoyable? It depends. But the short answer is yes. And not because not like any kind of masturbation, but if you over masturbate, and especially if you're a man. Hear me out here. There is a thing called idiosyncratic masturbation. And idiosyncratic masturbation explains how, like, when you masturbate as a penis owner, you go up and down like this. So your penis and your body and your brain gets used to a certain pressure, a certain temperature, the senses, like the feeling of your hand and the feeling of the lube that you use, right? And the certain types of strokes and rhythm. So when you get used to that, when you feel like, for example, when you feel like that's the only way you get off, that is when you perhaps masturbate too much, right? Because then sex in real life with your girlfriend, wife, or partner becomes less enjoyable and less stimulating, because your penis and your brain, they get used to idiosyncratic masturbation. The only way you can come is through masturbation alone. So that's when masturbating too much makes sex less enjoyable. And you don't want to do that, right? So make sure that there's variety in your masturbation, and also focus on your partner. Have sex and connect with your partner. Don't go like in a hermit in a cave and just masturbate by yourself all the time. There's no shame in the masturbation game, just to put it out there. I love masturbating too, but when you get used to it, it can become a problem. Question 4. Why do I get turned on by imagining my wife having sex with someone else? That's called cuckolding. So you're having a cuckolding fantasy, and that's totally fine. Um, that's one of the fantasies that is pretty common in the United States and definitely common in Europe. So having cuckolding fantasy is totally normal. You are fine, so don't worry about that. But why do you get turned on thinking about it? Why do you get turned on having that fantasy? So maybe you want to do it in real life. Um, let's say cuckolding is not for everybody. It has to be, a couple that is like really good at communication, has really strong trust. So perhaps not like early dating, right? Really strong trust, very good connection, very good communication. And then a lot of it is like the consent, like two people being consensual, they consent into trying cuckolding. And now I know cuckolding gets a lot of shit by people because a lot of people don't understand the new concept of cuckolding. They like Google it in the fucking dictionary and it says like cuckolding is when the guy is, being a loser and he just lets his wife go fuck other guys. That's not true. That's no longer the concept of cuckolding. Um, if you ask any, sexologists, people that study sex, that research sex, that read about sex, they will tell you that cuckolding is now a kink play that is consensus. It's a consensual by two partners, by three partners, right? So it's not no longer like this guy's sad at home and he's a cuck. That's like an old concept. A new concept of cuckolding, which is something that a kink that some people practice, is when the couple is like, hell yeah, I find it really hot to do that, and I want to like find the third person, and then like I want my wife to like hot wife, right? And I want to watch, and I want to like verbally tell them what to do. So there's many different like dynamics when it comes to new vibe of cuckolding. So it's not just um, oh, this guy's a loser, he's being a cuck. Not at all. It's actually the guy, or nowadays also the wife also wanna be cuckold dress or wanna get cucked too. There are women that are into watching their husbands or boyfriends, fuck someone else and like give them commands, verbal commands during the scene. So again, cuckolding fantasy totally normal. If you want to make it real life, just make sure you do think about like, is it consensual? Does your partner want to try it? Are they excited about it? How do you gonna go about finding the third person? And all of those things. So I highly recommend listening to my podcast on the episode of cuckolding to learn more. All right. Question number 5. How do I mention to my partner politely that I don't get enough sex? Okay, I know that I know her, and she's asking this, so I know it's from a woman's perspective. Now, as a woman, it can be very difficult to ask for more sex. Like, I need more dick. You just can't, like, feel like you can say it. You don't feel like you can say it because in society, right, there is a stereotype like a good woman is like, not a sexually assertive woman, right? If you're sexually assertive, you're a witch or you're a whore, right? Which is obviously not the case because once you are in a long-term relationship, like a lot of men do enjoy women that are sexually assertive, that want them completely, that want to have sex with them. So I would say, how do I mention to my partner politely to get that I don't get enough sex? I would go by using your femininity, because in a heterosexual relationship, there's always polarity. There's always some type of femininity and masculinity. So use your femininity to your advantage and go, hey babe, I miss you. I miss us, being naked, skin on skin. I miss having sex with you. Can we do that tonight? I'm sure if you have direct verbal um, requests like that coupled with like femininity and cuteness, there's like no way he's gonna turn it down. There's no way he's gonna turn it down. So definitely highly recommend using your femininity to your advantage. Just, hey baby, I miss you. Can we have sex tonight? Question 6. How to bring back the sex drive to a sexless marriage? Wow, that's $1 million question. I get this question every single day. Every single day. And my other sex therapist friends and sexologists and sex coaches get this question all the time. So just so you know, whoever that's asking, you are normal. Your situation is normal. Millions, if not billions, of people in the world experience this scenario, sexless marriage or sexless long-term relationship. I mean, it's sad, but it happens a lot, right? So there's no need to be down in the dumps for too long, but like, let's talk about what are some ways that we can, revive passion and have more dynamic and exciting sex life in a long-term relationship. So how to bring back sex drive in a sexless marriage. If you're in a sexless marriage or sexless relationship, there are many different ways to start having. Oh, my graphics are going crazy. There are many different ways to start, discussing how to have a more vibrant sex life with your partner. Two things. One, definitely have to both admit, like, we just don't have sex anymore, and we both want to change that. Having that conversation first and having that, like, kind of buy in mentality from both people is so important because it takes two to tango. And if you're the only person that's like, I want more sex, and the other person is not participating, there's no change. So a conversation about, wanting to have a more dynamic sex life needs to happen. This conversation needs to happen first. And two people needs to be on the same page and like, yes, I want to have a better sex life. This needs to happen first. So first off, have a conversation about, hey, I think we haven't had sex for a long time. I don't think that that's something, that I can accept in a long-term relationship. I would love for us to work on our sex life. Is that okay? How are you feeling? How do you feel about it? And just have a conversation, right? And then the second thing to think about, like, you have to think about trying something new. Trying something new, not only in your sex life, but in your relationship, right? So if you are living like a monotonic relationship, do same things every single day for the last 10 years, you're going to be bored. If you've had one type of sex for 10 years, you're going to be bored. If you've had missionary sex for 10, 15, 20 years with one person, it's like, think about it, right? If you've had fried rice every single day for the rest of your life, you're going to be bored, right? So you're going to have to, bring in other things to eat. You have to try to cook pasta, you have to try to make tacos, right? So it's the same thing with your relationship and sex life. Like, it needs variety, it craves variety. So maybe try things like, role play. You can try things like watch porn together. You can try things like introducing a toy in, your sexual encounter, introducing a toy to the foreplay or during sex. You can even try like different location. Like, how exciting would it be to plan a nighttime like car sex, right? So there are many different new things that you can try. For the relationship, you can try having date nights regularly where you do different things. You can play sex game. You can play going out like and like selecting, if you would fuck a person, like which person would you fuck? You could go to a bar and try that if you're a little bit more kinky and open-minded. There's so many new things you can do, and I have a whole list of different things that I like to share on my Instagram. So if you're not following my Instagram right now, definitely follow it. It's lovebites.co. That's LUVBITES.co. I'm always giving you guys new ideas about like making sex fun and exciting. All right, next question we have. My partner is watching sexy girls on TikTok. I feel like during sex, he is thinking about them. What do I do? Girl, you have no, like, you don't, there's nothing you can do. I'm so sorry. The answer is not something that you want to hear, I'm sure, but there's nothing you can do. No one can stop other people from thinking about other people, right? You can put them in jail, but they're going to want to break away. Um, when people feel like they don't have freedom, they're going to want to break away. So, in this scenario, the one thing you can do is to make sure that there is a lot of satisfaction in your relationship so that you and him are both satisfied in the relationship and you don't want to leave, right? So if you're in a relationship where you are satisfied and fulfilled, you would not ever want to leave. So, the only thing that's under your control is making sure that your relationship is healthy, it's fulfilling, it's filled with mainly positivity. I'm not saying you can't have a bad day. Everybody has a bad day, right? But like, shake it off, talk about it, shake it off, and move forward in life positively, because people love spending time with positive people. Um, it's contagious, right? And if someone is always negative, always complaining, it's also contagious. So people don't like that. So at the end of the day, going back to your question, like, my partner loves watching girls on TikTok and I'm insecure about it. What do I do? There's nothing you can do in terms of him thinking about other people. But if your relationship is so good, so fulfilling, so sensual, just like, hitting all the good spots, it wouldn't matter if he thinks about other people from time to time, right? And there's no, other way to stop that, because if you were to like say things like, "Oh, I don't want you to look at your TikTok ever again," that's control. And in a relationship, you don't want to show controlling behaviors like that, because humans love freedom. When they are being controlled like that, they're going to want to break away. They want to do the opposite. Think of like a teenager that, when mom's like, "Oh, you have to stay home, you're grounded," and they like escape through their window anyways, right? It's the same thing. Like, we want freedom. We want to know that we choose to be in this relationship every day and we're not being grounded, we're not being controlled, right? But you can also try other ways to like make yourself also feel more sexually confident. My favorite way is journaling and sexual meditation, but there's also things like grooming. If you like, change the way you dress, change the way you do your hair, or try wearing lingerie, right? Spicing it up in the bedroom. If that makes you feel more sexually confident, there are so many things you can do as well. Question number 8: tips on making women orgasm. Ooh, okay. What kind of orgasm are we talking about here? Are we talking about vaginal orgasm? Are we talking about clitoral orgasm? If we're talking about orgasm in general, I highly, highly recommend, I can't recommend enough. Clitoral orgasm. Like, that's the most reliable orgasm of all for women. Like, trust me. I'm a sexologist and I talk to hundreds of sexologists, and we're telling you this. This is the truth. The truth is, women or vulva owners have over 10,000 nerve endings in their clit. So their clit must be stimulated for them to have an orgasm, and a satisfying one too, right? So definitely play with her clit and watch her drip. I know I say that a lot. Play with her clit and watch her drip. It's true, because you can't fake, science like that. There's 10,000 nerve endings in the clitoris, so you have to play with her clit. And you'll make a woman come. And then you can, obviously try other types of orgasm. Vaginal orgasm, ejaculatory orgasm is my favorite. And that's squirting. And I usually do that through, like, when my partner goes down on me, as well as fingering. And that can be so, so satisfying and very, what, like, the word for apart from orgasmic, it's just like amazing. It makes my whole body shake. Like it feels so so good. Um, and I wasn't able to squirt when I was in my 20s. This is my new skill. Like I've only been able to squirt for the last few years. So all the women listening, if you've never squirted and you don't know how to squirt, hey girl, I feel you. I didn't know how to squirt either for the longest time until like for the last couple of years, and it's my favorite. Ejaculatory orgasm is my favorite. It's just amazing. But yeah, it needs clitoral orgasm first, right? Because it needs that like build up. So definitely play with her clit and watch her drip. Our next question, thoughts on orgasmic meditation. So, I want to first off explain that orgasmic meditation is its own method. It's not sexual meditation that I talk about. Sexual meditation that I talk about is on my YouTube, and it's just a guided meditation. You listen to it and you follow my guide, and it's supposed to help you with stamina, lasting longer, sexual anxiety, having better orgasms. The list goes on and on. Basically, it helps your sexual functioning. There's empirical experimental research on how powerful sexual mindfulness and sexual meditation is. So I highly recommend listening to sexual meditation on my channel. It's free, and I just give you like guided meditation. You don't have to do anything. Just close your eyes, listen, and follow the guide. Now, on the other hand, orgasmic meditation, this question is not just sexual meditation. It's a specific, it's called OM, or like OM. So OM is a specific type of like method for pleasure, right? So what it is, I'm gonna try to shorten the explanation because it's long, but what OM or OM is like kind of getting her in the mood of relaxation and letting go, and she's kind of there opening her legs, and then the other person will like insert their fingers, um and then finger the person there through this OM method. And there's research that the OM Institute produce that show all kinds of sexual benefits. But there's also a scandal on OM as well. I think it's on YouTube, not on, it's on Netflix. There is a documentary on Netflix that shows um, that the organization is a little bit effed. I don't know. You can go watch. You can go watch the documentary on Netflix. I think it's called One Taste. But yeah, I do think there's some benefits to OM, but I can't say for sure because number one, I'm not a practitioner. And number two, after watching that documentary, I'm a little scared about it, to be honest. All right. Well, my last question is diagnosed with HSV2. Any advice on going back to dating? First off, you're okay. As long as you're on medication, you don't have flare ups, you're okay. For people listening that don't know what HSV2 is, it's herpes. And I mean, statistically speaking, there are a lot of people around the world that have herpes. So, it's time to destigmatize it and to, engage with people with herpes with more like compassion and mindfulness. Because, like, what are you gonna do? You already have herpes, right? Like, it's even worse when people make it worse for you. So, first off, I'm sorry you had to go through like all of the stress getting it, and I don't know the relationship with you and the person that you got it from. But number two, I really want you to think about how dating can be quote unquote like normal for you just by disclosing it up front. And if you are interacting with people where you disclose it up front and they're like, you know, like, oh no, I'd never date someone like that, then that's their problem. Because when it's contained, it's not going to be contagious. So I want you to consider this dating site, or like there's quite a few dating sites like this. that I think it's called positive singles. And like I'm not, I don't get paid to say this. I think it's called positive singles, and it's for um, people who have herpes and other things that want to date without the stigma, because other people on that app also understand you. So I would try dating on positive singles for to make it like less stressful. But you can totally also join like, Tinder, Hinge, as long as you communicate your status up front after you've like talk to them. And if they're like, oh, let's meet up, then you're just like, hey, listen, I want to be transparent with you in terms of my sexual health. This is my status. I don't know if that changes anything. I just want to let you know first. So definitely do that. And if you feel like it's too much stress and anxiety to join like regular sites, then I would say join something like positive singles. So other people are in kind of similar boats and they understand you. So that was it. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was my first YouTube live show. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Thanks for supporting me on this first live. So this video is gonna be posted on YouTube, so you can totally come and rewatch and you can share it with your friends. Thanks for being a part of the Love Bites community. My passion is to um, spread sex positivity in the world, because I just think it's time for sex positivity, right? It's time for all of us to embrace our sexuality. It's so natural. And to have great sex, to have an amazing sex life, thriving relationships. And I wish that for all of you. So thank you so much for watching. I will be back next Tuesday at 6 p.m. For those of you that are not following me already, I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Love Bites Co. Lovebites.co, and my website is lovebites.co. That's LUVBITS.co. I would love to hear from you. If you want to ask me more questions, you can go to my website, lovebites.co, and click the word ask, and you can leave a long question in there. So I'm so excited for this series. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be orgasmic. Well, have an orgasmic day, guys. I'll see you later. Bye.